Welcome to Goddess Behavior, podcast where ancient myths meets modern main character energy.
We're your hosts, Steph and Laura.
No textbooks, just great stories, hot takes, and some unhinged ancient audacity.
So for a drink, fix your crown, and step into your mythic era.
This is Goddess Behavior. All right. So when we say the word curse, most of us picture the same thing.
Man.
An evil witch, a spinning wheel, a haunted object, maybe an ancient tomb with a warning carved into the wall. But something I didn't expect when I started researching this episode was that we don't actually know where the word curse came from.
Yeah.
It literally says in the Oxford English Dictionary, unknown origin.
Super fun.
Yeah.
Because for linguists or anyone who's interested in those types of things, it's very rare
that happens.
That happens. Yeah. Because usually Latin can cover it.
Well, yeah, sure. Or Greek.
Or Greek. Yeah. I mean,
I just think of like My Big Fat Greek Wedding, where he's like, from the Greek word.
Yeah, right? Because
everything is
where our everything came from.
Yeah.
So it's just it's odd.
Yeah.
This is odd.
Yeah, for sure.
So where did curses come from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the word appears in Old English, but has no cognates in other Germanic languages and no obvious source word. So etymologists have floated a few different theories over the years. One links it to Latin incursus, the fact of having incurred a penalty. Another traces it back to Old French. You're going to have to help me with the French.
Couros or couruse.
Yeah.
Meaning anger or wrath.
Right.
Which is
kind
very
of fits.
curse-like.
Yeah, both of them seem to fit.
It makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
And a third, favored by the Middle English Compendium, connects it to Latin cursus. So, like a course.
Oh, okay. Sure.
By way of the Christian phrase,
yep.
the Great Curse. A formula read aloud in churches naming offenses that triggered automatic excommunication.
Oh.
That's very church-like.
Yes.
Yeah. And so the theory that the word curse and cross has been tossed around for a bit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But scholars have really come to the conclusion that the sound swapping doesn't work there.
No.
That's not where it came from.
That's not it. Yeah. Makes sense. And to be honest, like the association just seems off.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in other words, we've been spending a lot of time trying to figure out
where the word came
from. And we're still telling the story, like stories about curses, right?
Yeah.
And so while the word may be a mystery, the practice isn't. Long before fairy tales, before Disney villains, and before cursed rings and enchanted castles, people all over the world were carving curses into stone, clay, wood, and metal. Not to entertain, but to protect tombs, to defend borders, and to settle disputes, and to warn anyone who dared to cross a sacred line. And that's where our story begins.
So the original curses, written in stone, clay, and wood. When we think about curses today, we usually think about stories. Sleeping Beauty, the Hope Diamond, a haunted object in a horror movie, something supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not where curses began. Long before they became the stuff of folklore and fairy tales, curses were practical. They were carved into stone, pressed into wet clay, painted onto tomb walls, and raised on wooden poles for everyone to see. These weren't fictional spells cast by witches. These were legal warnings, religious protections, political statements, public acts of condemnation. In many ways, the earliest curses functioned less like magic and more like contracts backed by the gods. If someone violated a sacred agreement, disturbed a burial, stole property, or broke an oath, the curse wasn't just meant to frighten them, it was meant to enforce the rules of society when no earthly authority could. What's remarkable is that this idea appears independently across cultures separated by thousands of miles. From Mesopotamia to Egypt, from Scandinavia to China, people carved remarkably similar warnings into the physical world. Different gods, different languages, the same human instinct. When something mattered enough, people didn't just lock it away, they cursed it. So let's start with some of the oldest surviving curses ever discovered.
Yeah, I think it goes so much further back than I even realized. Again, it goes back to Mesopotamia.
Yeah.
So, Mesopotamian curse tablets and inscriptions. Some of the oldest surviving curses in human histories came from clay. More than 4,000 years ago, the civilizations of ancient Sumer and Akkad were pressing curses into wet clay tablets and carving them into kuduru, large stone boundary markers that recorded land grants, treaties, and royal decrees. These weren't secret spells hidden away by magicians. They were public documents. Kings and scribes understood that laws only worked if people respected them. But in a world without modern police forces or surveillance cameras, how do you stop someone from moving a boundary stone, stealing land, or altering an official record? You have to make them believe that the gods are watching.
Yeah. It's
Big
actually
brother.
really smart. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the best that they could do at the time,
Yeah.
right? Is like, oh, Zeus is watching you.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
he'll
Instill
strike
the
you
fear of
down
God.
with his lightning.
Yeah. Yeah. No, truly.
Yeah, literally the fear of God. That's
Yeah.
funny.
Many of these encryptions end with a long list of consequences if anyone dared to tamper with them. The offender might be threatened with disease, infertility, the destruction of their family line, famine, exile, or the wrath of the powerful gods like Enlil, who is the god of like kingship and wind and air and storms.
Yeah.
Marduk, who is the patron god of Babylon, who is also like justice and kingship, kind of again like order.
Yeah.
Or Shamash, who is the god of, again, sun, justice, and truth. Some even call upon multiple deities at once, almost as if it was to make an absolute certainty that no one could escape punishment. Again, it's a great way to do it if this is your only way to go about it, right? No policing of any kind. So
Right.
you just make everyone afraid. Sure, it worked. Yeah.
Yeah.
In other words, these curses weren't meant to entertain. They were legal enforcement backed by divine authority. Think of them as the ancient equivalent of a sign that says, trespassers will be prosecuted.
Yeah, if you see a curse carved in stone, you're like,
Oh, yeah,
all
don't
right,
like that.
not going there.
Yep. Except instead of a court date, the punishment was eternal divine judgment.
Right.
What's fascinating is that these curses reveal something about human nature that hasn't changed in thousands of years. When something was valuable enough to protect, a kingdom, a treaty, a piece of land, people didn't rely solely on human law. They appealed to something even higher. The gods became witnesses, and the curse became the contract's enforcement. Yeah, it's
It's one way to go about it.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's something that has traveled into like modern religion.
Like religions.
Yeah. Which is an interesting thing considering that it's so old, right? It hasn't gone away.
That we don't, I don't know, the need to have a higher deity to make you behave is interesting.
It is. Yeah.
But apparently we go back to Mesopotamia with that one too.
Yeah, for sure.
If Mesopotamian curses protected kingdoms and legal agreements, Egyptian curses protected the dead. Ancient Egyptians believed that preserving a person's tomb was essential for their journey into the afterlife. Their body, possessions, and burial place weren't simply memorials, they were part of an external existence. Disturbing a tomb wasn't just theft, it was an attack on someone's forever. To discourage grave robbers, some tombs included warning inscriptions carved into the walls, doorways, or sarcophagi.
Yeah. So I feel like this is like what people think of when they think it's one of the obvious ones,
like
right?
The cursed tomb or the cursed mummy, or like
exactly
things like that. I think Egypt is a really good example of
a curse
what
that's outside of like a folklore curse, like outside of witches or
and
something
it was
like
truly done to protect
for protection purposes. Yeah, for sure.
These messages threatened anyone who disturbed the burial with divine punishment illness, misfortune, or judgment in the afterlife. One inscription warns that anyone who violates the tomb will face the judgment of the gods, while another declares that sacred animals like crocodiles, snakes, lions will devour those who desecrate the burial.
Sure. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, just picture how there are still tombs untouched
Now.
today in
Yeah.
Egypt because they're respected in this way
Yeah.
still.
Yeah. Mhm.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I've been inside some of them.
That's so
It's
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't love Egypt, like the stuff about it. Like I'm
Yeah.
not into it the same way I'm into other stuff. So I think it's
True.
not on. It was never on the top of my list. So I was like, I'm kind of
Right.
glad that somebody made me go because I probably wouldn't make it there otherwise. But it was very like, oh, okay, it's a pyramid. It's big. Like I don't understand how they put it there. That's like kind of all I got. Like it just
Yeah.
didn't feel very, and it's very old. Like
I
it's
also
cool.
just feel
but
like
I
there's
don't
so
know.
much about Egypt where I'm like, but how?
Oh, it's aliens.
Like it's either it's
Also,
aliens
they kept-
or giants or it's
I think the
some
giants thing
other
is interesting.
entity
Yeah.
that helped with that. There's no way.
Also, they kept trying to tell me that it was Egyptians who built the pyramids, and I'm like,
no, we actually know.
Let my people go.
Yeah, we actually have a pretty solid foundation.
I was
for
gonna
that
say, I think
proof,
we
so,
know.
Yeah,
that's not what happened.
and they were not Egyptians.
They were not.
It was a piece of the problem.
Yes,
Actually,
exactly.
they didn't belong there.
Exactly. So
Anyway,
yeah, don't like that.
Needed
But anyway.
a new tour guide. In many ways, these were the ancient world's security systems. Instead of alarms and surveillance cameras, they relied on something far more powerful: the fear that the gods themselves were watching.
Mhm.
What's interesting, though, is that Hollywood has exaggerated the idea of Egyptian tomb curses.
Yeah.
Contrary to popular belief, most Egyptian tombs weren't covered in dramatic warnings promising instant death. Many contained no curses at all. The famous image of a pharaoh declaring death shall come on swift wings to anyone who disturbs this tomb isn't actually found in King Tut's burial tomb. That legend exploded after the discovery of King Tut's tomb in 1922, when Lord Carnarvon, the expedition's financial backer, died a few months after the tomb was opened.
Mhm.
Newspapers around the world sensationalized the story, claiming the pharaoh had cursed everyone involved. Over the following years, any illness, accident, or death connected to the excavation was folded into the growing legend of the curse of the pharaohs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's easy for us to say now that, like, maybe those things were just naturally occurring things, right?
Yeah.
But it's definitely more fun to call it the curse of the pharaohs.
Definitely.
I mean,
It's
don't disturb dead people. I don't
sells
understand.
paper. It sells papers.
In reality, most members of Howard Carter's excavation team lived for decades after the discovery. But the story had already taken on a life of its own. And maybe that's the most fascinating part. An ancient practice meant to protect the dead became, thousands of years later, one of the world's most enduring supernatural legends. The curse didn't need to be real. People only needed to believe it might be.
Yeah. No, I think it's, like I was saying, it's kind of the more famous example, right? And I think because of the nature of the Egyptian, like the hieroglyphs and all of the like aesthetic of it all, like it just fits in really well with like all, I don't know how to explain it, but it seems to make sense that it would be spookier, I guess.
Yeah, or like that maybe that was necessary.
Yeah.
I don't foresee being able to enforce much in their environment.
No,
it would be really hard.
Yeah.
So you really needed to sell that story.
So not every curse was whispered in secret. Some were impossible to ignore. In the Viking Age of Scandinavia, one of the most dramatic ways to curse your enemy was by erecting a neathstrung or a neath pole.
Yeah.
This is a wooden pole often topped with a severed head of a horse. carved with runes, and raised in full view of the community. The purpose wasn't simply to call down supernatural punishment. It was to publicly declare that someone had lost their honor.
Which is really big.
Oh, with the Vikings.
I mean,
for
specifically
sure.
Vikings, but Norsemen in general.
Yeah.
Honor was very important.
Yeah.
Dictated
definitely
where you would go in your afterlife, and
all of
it made a big impact on your day-to-day life.
For sure.
No dishonor.
Nope. The person raising the pole would often speak a formal curse, calling upon the gods, the spirits of the land, and the Landvater, the guardian spirits of the landscape, to reject the named individual and drive them from the land. In one famous account from the warrior poet, Egil Skallagrimson raises a neath pole against King Eric Bloodaxe and Queen Gunhild, declaring that the land spirits should give them no peace until they are driven from Norway. That's what makes the neath pole so fascinating. It wasn't just magic, it was a social punishment. In Norse culture, honor was everything, and to be publicly declared Nithinger, or a dishonorable person, could be devastating. The pole turned a personal feud into a public statement, blending law, religion, reputation, and a ritual into a single act. So, because Nith, which means social stigma and unmanliness, was legally recognized in the Gragas, which is Icelandic law code, the construction of a pole was recorded in both historical and court disputes. So there are numerous accounts of them being used. In 2020, protesters set up a modern neathing pole featuring 2 singed sheep heads, which is like an Icelandic delicacy that they eat. Yeah. So it wasn't like a horse's head, where it would be like an inhumane thing.
It's just something I don't think they would ever do at this point.
Exactly.
But, yeah.
But they put it outside Iceland's parliament, and the ritual aimed to curse the government for underpaying and mistreating nurses during the pandemic.
Yeah, so again, 2020.
So good. Love that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should have done that.
I know. We need a neathing pole.
Yeah.
The government quickly removed the physical pole, but the escalating labor crisis eventually forced them to capitulate to the nurses' demands and avoid a total healthcare collapse. The curse was an absolute success, and the social shaming worked, and the target was driven to submission.
Yeah, it's so good. It's
exactly
the same thing.
Same thing, just in a modern time. And that's one thing I love about like the Icelandic people is they really still keep to tradition so much, and it's so great. Like, what a great way to use like an old thing in a modern time.
Yeah, and I mean, they shamed their own parliament.
So good. Love that.
Into hearing them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
So unlike hidden cursed tablets of Mesopotamia or the sealed tombs of Egypt, the neath pole was meant to be seen. It announced to an entire community that this person has violated moral order.
Yeah.
Whether or not anyone believed that the gods would answer the curse, the social consequences were immediate. Sometimes the most powerful curse isn't the one that is cast in secret, but the one that everyone witnesses.
Yeah. I mean, it's public shaming at its finest.
It's great.
It's great.
Yeah.
So great.
It's so good.
There's nothing better than a natural like if someone can see what the consequence is.
Yeah. It's great.
So good.
Yeah.
It's a great way to learn things.
Yeah. I feel like it's a threat of the gods because that's like the highest level of threat to that kind of civilization. But at the same time, it's like, but the real threat is that you're publicly like that's your actual threat that's coming your way, or easy to realize immediate threat. Yeah,
well, because their culture so like values
this
honor,
community and honor,
and the legend you leave behind.
Yeah,
and
dishonor
on you.
Oh my god,
yeah, I love Mushu.
Mushu's so good.
Oh, and we're going right to China.
Speaking of China.
Speaking of China. In ancient China, curses were closely tied to relationships between the living, the dead, and the spiritual world. Across different dynasties and folk traditions, people used written charms, curse tablets, ritual petitions, and spoken incantations to call upon deities local spirits, or ancestors to punish those who had committed a wrong. Unlike the dramatic curses of fairy tales, these rituals were often woven into everyday religious life.
Hmm.
They were a way of asking the spiritual world to restore justice when human justice had failed.
Okay.
But one of the most fascinating ideas wasn't about cursing an enemy, it was about neglecting your own ancestors. Ancestor veneration was central to Chinese culture. Families were expected to care for ancestral graves, make offerings, and continue rituals that honored those who had come before them.
Mhm.
Failing to fulfill those obligations wasn't simply considered disrespectful, it was believed to disrupt the harmony between the living and the dead. Misfortune, illness, or repeated bad luck could be interpreted as a sign that the relationship with one's ancestors had been neglected.
I like that idea because, like, I just think of like all these graveyards that we have in the US and how neglected they are, and how, like, that's why they
Yeah.
look spooky. It's because nobody's taking care of
Yeah.
them.
They're always run down. And
Yeah. Like overgrown.
well, I mean, like this, they show this in Mulan. They
Yeah,
show, like, she
totally.
goes to them and
They
they're
have like their spirit house, and it's
yeah,
really good.
and you have to like clean the stones and
Yeah.
like take care of
It's
them.
so
And they're
nice.
left little like bowls of, but they're
Offerings.
like offerings
Yep.
to their ancestors.
Yeah, when I lived in Thailand, you had a spirit house. It was like a
Hmm.
little house for the spirit. It's almost like if you think of like fairies, like a fairy
Sure.
house, like a
Yeah.
small miniature house, and that would be like where you would put like flower, like leis almost. They're not leis,
Okay.
but
Yeah,
they're
like an arrangement. Of
yeah,
some sort.
and like little like incense and like little I
Yeah.
don't even
think it's
remember
maybe
exactly.
had
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it would be for that. It's exactly what it's for.
Hmm.
Like to honor your house or your
Yeah.
the people around
I
it.
mean, I think for Chinese culture, this makes a lot of sense
Mhm.
because it's a lot of their things are driven by respect.
Yeah.
And I
And
think
like harmony and cycles. Yeah.
respect your elders.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I
definitely.
think it makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Um, Whether or not someone believed they had been cursed, the message was clear. The choices you make today don't affect only you. They affect your family, your descendants, and the generations that come after you. Almost like a seventh generation
Oh, yeah.
principle
Yeah,
there. Is it
definitely.
like to think ahead
Yeah, think of who's to come, who
after you?
came
Yeah.
before you, and learn from that, and then also to like
Like,
leave
don't,
the world a better place, essentially.
yeah,
Yeah.
don't curse your whole family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Breaking generational cycles.
Yes, it's a remarkably familiar idea. Just like the Mesopotamian kings protecting their monuments, the Egyptians protecting their tombs, and the Norse defending their honor, these traditions remind us that curses weren't simply about revenge. They were about preserving the relationships and responsibilities that held society together.
Yeah, I think the like overarching theme with all of these is that they were like practical tools.
Yeah.
They weren't curses in like a spell. Like, you know what I mean? Like in the way that people
There's
think
no
of
magic
curses.
wand here.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, they're protecting a grave or defending a boundary or uh helping people follow a rule,
Yeah.
follow the laws or rules of society, right?
Yeah.
Which makes it seem uh, less fun, to be honest.
It's like a line down from the gods to the people, right?
Right.
Like it's just kind of like another way to enforce day-to-day
Function of
life.
society. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So why do curses exist? By now, we've seen that curses originally didn't like start with fairy tales, right?
Yeah.
They protected kingdoms, guarded the dead, settled disputes, and warned anyone tempted to break the rules. But that raises a bigger question. Why do so many cultures create curses in the first place? Curses did something every society needed. They explained consequences. Before modern courts, forensic science, psychology, or sociology, people still had to answer difficult questions. Why do terrible things happen? Why does one family seem haunted by misfortune while others prosper? Why do some actions continue to affect people long after the original event is over? Across cultures, the answer is often the same. Someone or something has set these events in motion. and words were believed to have extraordinary power. A blessing could bring prosperity. An oath would bind people together. A prophecy could shape the future. A curse could explain why suffering seemed to linger. Whether the curse was carved into a monument or spoken aloud in a ritual, it reflected a remarkably human belief that actions have consequences and that those consequences don't always end with the person who caused them.
Yeah. I mean, I have mixed feelings about this.
Oh, so do
'Cause,
I. Yeah.
I mean, like, obviously, as a parent, we love for actions have consequences. I feel
Yes.
like the amount of times, especially as a boy mom, I
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when you think of it from a practical sense, like what we've just talked about,
Yeah.
it works
Oh, yeah. I mean,
really well. But when you talk about it from like a magical sense, it starts to get
a
a little out of
little.
control. Like it you know what I mean? Like further than it needs to go
Yeah.
sometimes.
Like, I also wouldn't want my child to be afraid to make a mistake
That's what I'm
because
saying.
of a mythical punishment
Yeah,
or
I get,
some type of like curse, if you will.
yeah, I think something that lasts longer than one smaller mistake,
Yeah.
It seems harsh. That's what I guess I meant before when I was like it goes further than it needs to. In many ways, curses were humanity's earliest way of talking about cause and effect. They
Right.
gave people a language for explaining why choices ripple outwards, why promises matter, and why some wounds seem to echo across generations. But over time, something changed. Curses stopped being used primarily to protect tombs, borders, and kingdoms. They became stories. And once they entered into folklore and fairy tales, they began asking a very different question. Not how do we punish the guilty, but what happens when the wrong person pays the price? And that's where some of the world's most enduring fairy tales begin. So again and again, we find children cursed before they can speak, princes transformed for reasons that they never fully understand, and families forced to carry the consequences of someone else's jealousy, anger, or pride. These aren't stories about justice. They're stories about innocent people living with the consequences they never chose. And that's what makes them so enduring. Because whether it's a forgotten invitation, a careless promise, or an act of envy, the person responsible is rarely the one who has to live with the curse.
Let's start with perhaps the most famous cursed child in all of folklore, Sleeping Beauty, or Briar Rose.
Yeah.
If there is one fairy tale that defines the idea of a curse, it's Sleeping Beauty. Most of us know the Disney version. Princess Aurora is cursed by Maleficent after the evil fairy isn't invited to her christening. But the older versions, Charles Perrault's Le Belle Bois Dormant and the Brothers Grimm Dornrösken, or Briar Rose, are a little different and arguably even more unsettling.
How? I love Maleficent, though. She's one of my favorite villains.
She's great. She's arguably one of the most misunderstood villains.
I agree. She didn't get invited. I don't blame her. I'd be pissed, too.
Yeah, it's so rude. What's a girl got to do? Anyway.
Also, Angelina Jolie as Maleficent
iconic.
is just
iconic. I love her
chef's
as Maleficent.
kiss.
Yeah.
I could not have been cast better. Yeah.
There's no better one. At the princess's christening, 12 fairies are invited to bless the newborn with gifts because the king owns only 12 golden plates.
Seems weird. He could have another one, but anyway. Yep. Sure.
Blame the plates.
Yep.
A 13th fairy left off the guest list arrives furious at the insult. Fair.
Yeah, fair. I'd be pissed too. Where's my golden plate?
Also, just like, why leave one out?
It's weird.
Find another
Weird
gold
choice.
plate before the ceremony.
Definitely.
Don't be rude.
Give her a different one. Then she'll think she's special.
Right. You've got to have a birthday plate somewhere in that place.
You're special today.
It's the castle.
Do we all have this red special plate? You know what I'm talking
yes.
about? We all have it.
That's why I was like, gotta have a birthday plate. Like,
it's
what
so
do you mean?
Funny. I love it. Oh my God.
Anyway, before anyone can stop the 13th fairy, she pronounces...
And it's 13.
Of course it is. Before anyone can stop her, she pronounces a curse. On her 15th birthday, the princess will prick her finger on a spindle and die.
Oh,
The
dramatic.
drama.
The drama. And also, why? So random.
Yeah. Even in the Disney version of this,
You're like,
it's like, why
why?
did you just touch that? But it's like,
Yeah, I know. It's weird.
well, it makes it seem like she turned 15 and then boom, the curse enacted and she like went to the spindle of her
Yeah,
own.
like she was
Like in a
coerced.
trance.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very strange. Yeah, yeah.
So just like, that's how I picture
Yeah,
it
it's
anyway.
magic, I
Is
guess.
it's
That's how they got around with. I don't know. It's very
It's
odd
the
because she was like
curse.
literally like floating into
Yeah,
the
yeah,
room. It's
yeah.
very strange. Yeah,
That's yeah,
sure.
it's an oddly dark part of this Disney movie.
Yep.
Fortunately, the 12th fairy hadn't yet given her blessing. And while she can't undo the curse, she can soften it.
Okay.
So instead of death, the princess will just fall into a deep sleep for 100 years
Sure.
to be awakened when the time is right.
Okay. Ominous. When the time is right.
Sure. Why do I think about that for a moment? The princess hasn't made a mistake.
Yeah, she hasn't done anything.
She's just a baby.
Yeah, she's just a baby.
She's a baby.
She's just a girl. Okay.
Honestly, like, I don't know. Babies are like the purest
I know.
thing you could ever think of. I just don't.
I'm just curious. I guess maybe just because she
probably pissed
is
at the
the
king.
most precious thing to the
To
king.
them,
Yeah,
yeah.
but it's weird that she wouldn't curse them.
The king. Yeah, curse
It's
the king.
weird.
Blame
Odd.
the man.
Yeah.
Why
Come
are we
on.
blaming the baby?
Yeah, why are we doing this? Why is it women against women here?
Yeah.
I don't
I
get
don't
that.
understand.
Oh, maybe
Sure.
this is an ancient tactic. Anyway, moving on.
Maybe.
A maiden mother crone scenario. Anyway.
Totally.
Oh.
She hasn't even spoken her first words. Her entire future is changed because of a disagreement between adults over something as simple as a missing plate at a table.
Yeah.
The king, desperate to save his daughter, orders every spinning wheel in the kingdom destroyed. Every spindle is burned or hidden away. The entire kingdom reorganizes itself around preventing a single prophecy. And yet, on her 15th birthday, the princess discovers an old woman.
Crone.
It's the crone figure, yeah. Spinning in a secluded tower. Curious, she reaches out, pricks her finger, and the curse unfolds exactly as foretold. It's one of folklore's oldest lessons. Some consequences can't simply be avoided. But what makes Sleeping Beauty so compelling isn't just the curse itself, it's who bears the cost. A forgotten invitation becomes a century of lost life. Not for the person who felt slighted, but for an innocent child and an entire kingdom that falls asleep with her. The original curse wasn't about a spinning wheel. It was about how easily the consequences of one person's anger can become someone else's burden.
Yeah, it seems like we were saying, it just seems weird. Like, why is she getting punished for something she didn't do?
Yeah. It's like a spin on the like generational.
Yeah, definitely.
Curse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where she's like, fine. Maybe he was old and like wasn't gonna suffer enough, so she was
That's how she got her way out.
Watch your daughter suffer. I
Yeah, I
guess.
feel like
I don't know.
it's a different kind of torture in that way. But so, if Sleeping Beauty asks what happens when an innocent child is cursed, the Frog Prince asks a different question. What if you never ever learn why the curse happened in the first place? So today, most people picture a princess kissing a frog and magically transforming himself into a handsome prince. Except that's not how the original story goes. In the Brothers Grimm, I hate it, The Frog King, a young princess loses her golden ball in a deep well. I remember this now. Yeah. A frog offers to retrieve it, but only if she promises to let him become her companion, sharing her meals and sleeping in her room. I actually remember this one very well. I don't know if I just read it a lot, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Desperate to get her favorite toy back, she agrees. The moment she has her ball, though, she runs away, convinced she'll never have to keep her promise. The frog follows her to the palace, reminding her that promises matter. Reluctantly, and only after her father insists that a royal promise must be honored, the princess allows the frog inside. Then comes the part that Disney definitely left out. As the frog asks to share her bed, the princess becomes so disgusted that she grabs him and hurls him against the wall.
Well,
aggressive. Instead of dying, the spell's broken. The frog transforms into a handsome prince. The kiss, that was added centuries after the story evolved, becoming popular through stage adaptations and eventually Disney's fairy tale formula. In the oldest versions, it isn't romantic love that breaks the curse. It's the dramatic climax of the princess finally confronting the impossible situation she's been placed in. Even more interesting is that the story never fully explains why the prince is cursed in the first place. Some versions blame a witch, while others simply present the transformation as an established fact. Like, it just is.
Yeah.
The audience is left wondering whether he deserved it at all. That uncertainty is what makes the Frog Prince fit so well with the stories we've been talking about. It's the person living with the curse isn't necessarily the one that's at fault, right?
Yeah.
Or the one that needs to learn a lesson in this situation.
Yeah.
Because we don't know the origin of like the curse and what happened to him, we can't blame him outright. But it's really the princess who's
she needed to learn
learning the
lesson in that
consequences
case.
here,
Yeah.
right?
It's kind of the whole like don't judge a book by its cover
right.
situation where
Totally. Where she was like, you could have had a hot prince.
I wouldn't have wanted a frog in my bed either, though. I'm just saying.
No. Ew.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's not like it could come inside.
It can come
make
inside.
You your own
if it was
bed.
talking to me, maybe I would
I'll make you a frog bed.
a Disney
next to my
bed.
bed.
Yeah, like in the pillow.
Yeah.
I feel like
on the floor.
Yeah.
Though. Still not in my bed.
True.
I also wouldn't want a frog on my pillow.
No.
I don't know. There's so many things there that I'm like, well, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I get it. And
don't
once again,
punish a girl.
Yeah.
For not wanting a man in her bed. Leave her alone.
Yeah, so I guess the mystery here is the point of the story, right? Like the mystery of the curse is we don't know why, but it still represents.
It's also not the focus of the story.
Right,
the girl.
The consequences get met in a different way than the actual like person being cursed.
Yeah.
So it's just a different outlook on or a different perspective on the idea of a curse and what it means and how it affects other people outside of the curse, not just the person who is cursed. Yes.
Living that cursed
right.
life. So, if Sleeping Beauty is measured in years, the children of Lear is measured in centuries.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of Ireland's most beloved myths and one of the most heartbreaking examples of an undeserved curse in all of folklore.
Yeah, it's so sad.
The story begins with King Lear, whose beloved wife dies, leaving him to raise their 4 children. Vanula, Fiancra, and Con. Hoping to bring stability back to the family, Lear marries his late wife's sister, Aoife. At first, Aoife loves the children, but over time she grows consumed by jealousy.
So
tale as old as time. Yeah. She can't bear the affection Lear shows them and begins to see the children as rivals for his love.
Oh.
Unable to bring herself to kill them, she chooses something she believes is even worse. Using Drundic magic, Aoife transforms the 4 children into swans. Her curse is devastatingly specific. They will spend 300 years on Loch Duravara, 300 years on the stormy Sea of Moyle between Ireland and Scotland, and 300 years on the lonely waters of Inishglora off Ireland's western coast. 900 years in total. The children don't lose their memories. They don't lose their voices. They can still sing with extraordinary beauty, and anyone who hears them is said to be moved to tears. But they will lose everything else. They watch kingdoms rise and fall, friends and family grow old and die. The world they once knew disappears around them while they remain trapped in the same feathered forms, able to do nothing but endure. The only thing the curse cannot take from them is each other. What an ant, man.
Yeah, it's a bad curse. It's not nice. It's
If
really
you
not.
had that kind of Drundic magic, and like you were
Cool.
that good at it,
Why are
we
you
being
using it
mean?
for that?
Why are we being mean?
Yeah.
Save your
Stop it.
country, man.
Yeah, for
Don't
real.
curse your nieces.
No, I know. It's so sad.
Vanula, the eldest sister, becomes their protector, of course.
Sure.
Yep.
Typical eldest daughter.
daughters. All right. Comforting her brothers through freezing winters, violent storms, and centuries of loneliness, their love for one another becomes stronger than the magic meant to destroy them. And eventually, after 900 years have passed, the curse is finally lifted. The children return to human form, but only for a moment. Time catches up with them instantly. They have become ancient, and they die shortly afterward, finally finding peace together. Unlike many fairy tales, there is no triumphant return to the life they lost. The curse ends, but the consequences remain. That's what makes the children of Lear so powerful. The children never did anything wrong. They aren't punished for their own choices. They're punished because of someone else's jealousy. It's one of folklore's clearest reminders that the deepest wounds are often the ones we never choose. And that sometimes the greatest act of courage isn't breaking a curse, but holding on to your humanity while living through it.
Yeah.
And that would be so hard.
It would. Yeah. I mean, I just remember reading, like, while we're writing this, I'm like, oh, that is so heartbreaking. Like, having to live that long and knowing that there is an end to it, but having to endure year after year in this foreign form. I mean, I guess over time you would get used to it, but still, I don't think, how do you ever happy? Can't be.
Talk about eldest daughter syndrome. Like, she's just like stuck in that.
Ugh, not great. Yeah, so in all three, the person paying the price isn't the one who caused the offense, right? A snubbed invitation, an unnamed insult, or a stepmother's jealousy. It always lands on the other person. Like, it's landing on somebody who's not necessarily
misplaced blame.
deserving of it.
Yeah.
So now that we have a curse, how do we break it?
And it's important to know how to break them.
Yes. So far, we've talked about where curses came from and who they fell upon. But fairy tales are interested in a different question. How do we break one? And that's one of the greatest differences between historical curses that we discussed in the beginning and curses that are found in folklore. The curses carved into the Mesopotamian boundary stones weren't meant to be lifted, like they were meant to be enforced, right?
Enduring.
Egyptian tomb curses weren't waiting for a hero to arrive, and the Neath pull wasn't designed to end with forgiveness. Those were meant to punish, protect, and warn forever.
Cursed
and that's
forever.
it. Yeah.
It's it.
Yeah, and fairy tales changed the rules. Instead of asking, how do we keep people from breaking the rules, they began asking something much more hopeful. Can someone who has been changed ever become whole again? Yeah, every story has a different answer. So
it's super interesting because it makes you wonder, is that humanity evolving to look to find solutions and to change?
I think so.
Right?
I think it's like, oh, how do we solve this thing that we can't solve? Like it's something that is very difficult to fix, right?
Or like, how do you make sense of those old
wounds?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just thinking of like if you're talking about a generational thing, right?
Totally.
Like even now in modern time, like we're sitting with therapists going through generational trauma. Right? I would imagine this is like a slightly earlier version of that.
And carrying that and
how do we move forward from this curse?
Wondering, exactly, how to move forward.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So Sleeping Beauty, we'll use her as an example.
Yeah, I mean, the curse isn't broken by force. No one in the original story even defeats the angry.
Right, like at Disney, we have a defeating the evil, right? But we don't have that situation.
And so early on, there wasn't a magical battle. Instead, the kingdom just waits.
Mm-hmm.
The 100 years pass, and time itself becomes part of the cure.
Yep.
Then comes love, not as a weapon, but as an awakening.
Right.
True love's kiss.
Yes. Oh.
Whether it's the true love's kiss in Disney or simply the fulfillment of time in the older versions,
Mm-hmm.
the story suggests that some wounds cannot be rushed.
Right.
And some things heal only when the time is right.
Yeah.
Or like, in a way, it's kind of like when your time has been served, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're just kind of cursed to have.
Well, and I think you change, like we've talked about in other episodes, where transformation happens, right? Like
Yeah.
sometimes you have to go through the process of the transformation to fulfill that situation, right? Like
the
you don't just
journey itself is important.
just as important as the end result. So
Right.
like, I don't know if this is a weird example, I think, but like say you get put in prison, like you're going to be different than you are on the other end. And I think a lot of the good that can come out of that situation is that having to do the soul searching and understanding how we got to this place. Like there's a lot that goes into
And hopefully how to
moving
exit
to the next
better,
part. Right,
exit
exactly.
that situation in a better place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for Sleeping Beauty, not so much, but like I can see how it would apply to
everyone else around her.
Mhm.
I mean, maybe we don't do that again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's invite all 13 fairies.
Yes, correct.
Crazy.
Yeah. So the Frog Prince offers a very different answer. Here, the curses end when promises are finally honored. The princess can't simply ignore the frog because he is unpleasant or inconvenient, right?
Yeah.
Her father reminds her that promises must be kept. Only after she confronts the impossible situation she's been avoiding does the enchantment end. And yes, in the oldest Grimm version, that confrontation involves throwing a frog against the wall instead of kissing him. But
fair.
Yeah, fairy tales have always been stranger than Disney intended, right?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. So whether you interpret that moment as honesty, frustration, or finally facing a reality of like a situation, like she's like, okay, I finally have to do something about this and create a consequence for my feeling of a certain way, about this.
and it's also that like your words matter. So
Correct.
if you make a promise, you should follow
through. Yeah,
right?
It's important.
Because otherwise you kind of get what you get.
Yes,
in my opinion.
absolutely.
Like I think promises are another older way. It's not a curse.
Yeah,
right?
the promise is
But
an interesting
promise
one.
is kind of a line
Ooh,
there.
that could be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be curious to look into that one.
Yeah.
A binding promise. Something magical there. I can feel it.
Well, I mean, I go immediately to like the knots and plant stems and specifically, or like blowing dandelions.
Yeah.
Lots of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's stuff there for sure. Yeah. So and then there's the children of Lear.
Oh man. Yeah, and it's not, their curse isn't broken by bravery or romance or cleverness. It ends only after their 900 years
It's
have
so
passed.
bad. I hate it.
They just endure that for 900 years.
Yeah, I mean, makes Sleeping Beauty seem like a cakewalk.
In the version we know today, the curse finally lifts with the arrival of Christianity in Ireland.
Sure. Can't help myself. Okay, moving on.
The ringing of a church bell signals the end of the old enchantment, reflecting the way the story evolved as Ireland became Christian. Earlier versions likely ended differently, that when Christianity comes about, changes everybody's stories.
Yep.
And then they're the ones, unfortunately, they're the ones that record a lot of history.
And so that's why we have a lot of mixing
skewed.
Going on. Yeah.
So I'm just going to say that here.
Yes.
And that's how I feel.
It's
fact,
just true.
But it's also.
It's just true. Yeah. That's why we have like different versions of all of these stories, right? We have, it's confusing. Like why people are like, wait, I heard this version or I heard this version. And it's because things have gotten muddled. I mean,
There's
our
so many different versions of the same stories because Christianity got a hold of the originals and then
I mean,
from there.
yeah, there's a lot of examples we could get into if you want.
Yeah. These are I mean, Sleeping Beauty, all of these.
Yeah, all of
Really.
them. Mhm.
Anyway,
Yeah.
the earlier versions likely ended differently. They definitely did.
Yes.
Um,
So
but the surviving tale uses this moment to symbolize the passing of one spiritual age into another. The children become human again, but they don't regain the lives they lost. They're now ancient and die soon afterward. The curse is broken. The consequences remain.
yeah.
Consequences for something they didn't even do. It just
I'm just trying to understand how this relates to Christianity.
or like why
Do you know what I
Why
mean?
would you even
Like,
change it? I don't
why?
know. And maybe that's the biggest lesson these stories share. Breaking a curse doesn't erase what happened, it simply allows life to move forward.
Mhm.
That's a surprisingly modern idea. Healing doesn't undo the past, forgiveness doesn't pretend the wound never existed. Growth doesn't mean we're unchanged. The spell may end, but the story becomes part of who we are. That's what separates fairy tales from the ancient curses carved into stone.
Mhm.
The earliest curses were designed to last forever. Fairy tales dared to imagine that even the darkest enchantments could one day be broken. Not because the past disappeared, but because hope did something the curse never expected. It endured.
Mm, yeah.
So that's definitely another way to look at it. I think as humans, we
We need
often
hope.
have a hard time with that concept, with like hope for 900 years
Yeah.
that something's going to change.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's especially like in an ancient situation where things like feel like this is never going to end.
Yeah.
It makes sense that they would be holding, want stories that help them hold on to hope for something better, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And maybe the way societies had changed too in those 900 years. It's
yeah.
like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You have to watch so much change and you have to wonder.
Yeah, it definitely leaves like, a lot of questions. Every curse in this episode, whether carved into a tomb wall or spoken over a cradle, is really doing the same thing, making sure somebody pays long after the person who deserved to pay is out of the story. That's the magic nobody wanted. Not a spell, but the debt that outlives the person who owed it.
Yeah.
So, throughout this episode, we've been kind of asking this question of can a curse ever really be broken? And it's
Mm.
actually both, right? Yes and
Yeah.
no, right? Aurora wakes up and the frog prince becomes human again. And the children of Lear finally are released from their enchantment, right?
But they don't come out
But they're not the
it's not the
same
same.
again
Yeah.
at the end of it, right? I mean, Aurora was lost for a century, and the Frog Prince carried the memory of living as something other than himself, right? So even when he turns back into a prince again, he's been a frog for
He's
who
like,
knows
wait.
how long, right?
Yeah.
And the children of Lear regain their humanity only long enough to realize that the world is just it's it. They don't
Yeah.
get to live any longer, right? So it's kind of like a sadder version of the frog, right?
But maybe that's the point.
Mhm.
I mean, a curse isn't just magic, it's a life interrupted.
Yeah.
And even when the magic ends, the interruption remains. It's like a little blip,
Yeah.
right? Like in your
Yeah.
timeline, if you will. And most of us won't be cursed by an angry fairy or transformed into a swan, but we all experience moments that divide our lives into before
Mhm.
and after. Like,
Definitely.
yeah, I mean, I think whether it's a diagnosis, the loss of someone we love, a big betrayal, a natural disaster, a mistake that we just can't take back, a single phone call that changes everything.
Having a baby.
Yeah. Having a child for
Yes.
sure.
There is a before me and an after me.
Truly. Like the characters in these stories, we don't always choose what happens to us. Sometimes we inherit circumstances we never asked for.
Mhm.
And sometimes we're living with the consequences of someone else's choices. Sometimes life changes because of one moment that arrives without warning.
Hmm.
And once it happens, there is no going back to the person we were before.
Yeah, I think it's again this idea of like trying to make sense of things we can't explain. That's what
Right.
these stories are, and what it's
What
trying to help
humanity has always tried to
to
do.
do. Yeah, we're just
Yeah.
trying to answer life's hard questions and how do we make sense of them.
Yeah. And then how do we navigate them,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I think we see like promises become a big thing. Trust.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, these curses were a way to kind of enforce and also protect.
Yeah, there's a lot of different uses. I think there's more uses for them than
Yeah.
because I think everybody just automatically goes to like an evil curse, right?
Yeah.
And it's to teach people different things, right?
Yeah.
There is only the question of what comes next. And that is why these stories continue to resonate. They don't promise that every wound will disappear or that the ending will be happy. Instead, they offer something more realistic. Healing can't erase the past, and growth doesn't undo the pain. Breaking the curse doesn't mean pretending it never existed. It means refusing to let it be the final word. Maybe that's why fairy tales became so different than the ancient curses carved in stone. The early curses were written to last forever. Fairy tales imagine something more radical, that even after our lives have been interrupted, hope is still possible. And while we can't always choose what happens to us, we can choose what happens next.
Like it kind of gives humans the idea that we have some control there.
Yeah, and
in
that
our outcome,
like
in our
no
fate,
matter what
if you
happens
will.
to you, you can move forward.
Yep.
Or there's hope that you can move forward.
Yep.
So, if you haven't noticed that modern fantasy is full of curses, well, it is.
Yeah.
Thousands of years of people carving curses into stone and raising cursed poles.
Well, the only difference is that now we call it fantasy.
Yes. Yes, it's all fun and pretend. Yeah, so I mean, Disney is the biggest storyteller of curses. I think there's so many.
Yeah. I mean, Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, we didn't cover that one because it's like an enchantment and there's a lot of fine line there. The whole castle is enchanted, right? It's not just a curse on the beast.
And objects come to life.
Right.
So it is a different thing,
yes.
but it is still
we can cover it in a different episode, but
yeah. So Prince Adam turns into the beast.
Yeah. So while he is cursed, not everything the whole story's not revolving around just that.
The enchantment is what holds the items in the castle in place until the curse is broken.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's a tricky
we were trying to stick to just curses.
We didn't want to negate ourselves.
Yes.
But
or make it confusing in any way. So that's why we're
but Disney does this idea of a big life altering curse a lot. Tiana, the Princess and the Frog. Brave.
Yes.
The mom is turned into a bear.
Yes.
I mean, we can keep
So
going
good.
and
There's
on with Disney.
so many. Yeah.
There's just so many curses.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Harry Potter, I think it's hard not to talk about Harry Potter when it comes to curses. It obviously is a lot darker than even Disney is. The wizarding world takes curses into an even darker direction. The unforgivable curses exist purely to harm, right? Horcruxes function as cursed objects, corrupting everyone who comes into contact with them. And the prophecy surrounding Harry Potter and Voldemort echoes one of mythology's oldest questions. Can fate be escaped, or do our attempts to avoid it just make it happen anyway?
Yeah. It's an interesting one with Harry Potter because the cursed child was not. He was just a baby. I mean, it's
it's
very
again
similar. Yeah, where it's like
it's a Sleeping Beauty situation.
Yeah,
nobody did anything wrong.
Yep.
To cause or
and can he
nobody,
change it,
but
right? Yeah. And I struggle with Dumbledore's hand and all of this a little bit, where as a child reading these books, I didn't see it this way.
Yeah.
But as an adult,
it's hard.
Now rereading them with my child, I'm like,
what is wrong with you?
You knew this whole time?
I know.
Was he raising him for slaughter? I don't know. It
Yeah.
really bothers
There's
me.
a lot of it's a tough one.
Or was he giving him a chance? Was he
Yeah, it's
hopeful, right? And I like
could
my
be
brain,
both, to
it's
be
just
honest.
tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, right? Um, oh, and Once Upon a Time. That show
Another
is
show,
literally built all around a
a
curse
curse.
in the
Yeah. A
beginning anyway.
cursed
Yeah.
town, a cursed,
Yeah, the dark
uh,
curse, trapping the beloved fairy tale characters in a world where they've forgotten who they are.
who they really are. Yeah.
Yes.
They're like,
Which is like
fairy tale
so good. I
identity.
love
Yes.
it. It's such a good
Yeah. If you
show.
guys haven't caught on by now, we really like that show.
It's
And
really good. And
it's
maybe we
good.
actually cover that show. That
If you
might be a
need
good
some
one.
time, something to watch.
Yeah. And
Recommend
there's
that.
like 20,000 seasons of it. It's really
Yeah,
good.
there's
It
a
was
lot.
on for a really long
It was
time.
on. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's a great way to, because it takes them a while to lift it, but it's involved for quite a while.
Yeah. And it is something that wasn't just like one person.
It affected
Everyone.
everybody. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it changed their identity, right? It gets
Yeah.
them completely
Oh, then
can't
there's
talk about
Shrek.
it without can't talk about
Yeah.
curse without Shrek, right? Princess Fiona spends years believing that the curse made her into an ogre. At the end of the story, she realized that the curse wasn't becoming the ogre; it was believing that she had to become someone else to deserve love.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
she did never needed to be anything
She
but
didn't need to
herself,
be the like stereotypical
princess.
princess
Yes,
to find love.
yes.
Yeah.
Modern
Mhm.
stories keep returning to the same idea. A single moment changes everything. One sentence, one choice, one curse. But deep down, we still believe what our ancestors believed, that one event can change the course of our life, and the rest of the story is about what happens next.
Yeah. Like
Mhm.
moving on from that
Yeah, having this
moment.
thing that changes your perspective and then going on
How
from
you
there.
go from there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
coming out better on the other side.
Humans have always believed that words matter. We make promises, we swear oaths, we give blessings, we pronounce judgments. Across mythology, those words don't simply describe reality, they create it.
Hmm.
A prophecy changes the course of the kingdom. A curse follows a family for generations. A blessing transforms an ordinary person into a hero. Hmm. Once something is spoken, the world is never quite the same again. Yeah, our words matter. I mean,
Yeah.
our words have power.
Yes.
Not magical power per se, but human power.
Yeah.
A sentence can end a friendship. A
Hmm.
promise can build a marriage. A lie can start a war. A parent's words can shape a child for decades. A doctor's diagnosis, a judge's verdict, or three simple words, I love you,
Hmm.
can divide your life into before and after.
Yeah. Mythology simply made the invisible power visible. It turned words into curses. It turned consequences into magic. That's why these stories have survived for thousands of years. They aren't really asking whether witches exist or whether enchanted rings are real. They're ex- they're asking they're asking something much deeper. What happens after something has been set in motion? Can we outrun fate? Can we undo the consequences of our choices? Can we break the cycles we inherit? Or are we forever shaped by the words, promises, and decisions that came before us? The myths don't all give the same answer. Some curses can be broken through love, some through humility, some through sacrifice, and some can't be broken at all. Maybe curses were never meant to explain magic. Maybe they were meant to remind us that every choice leaves a mark. Some become blessings, some become burdens, and some become stories that echo for generations. The question mythology leaves us with isn't whether we're cursed. It's the kind of legacy we're setting into motion today.
I mean, I think it's important to care about your legacy because
Yeah.
you should care about what happens after you.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, the
people
ramifications of that are really big.
yeah. And I think that people who are like, I don't care about my legacy, it's like it's almost impossible not to.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just living my own life and doing my own it's like nobody does
Unaffected or unbothered by everybody
there's
else?
no
No
way.
way.
No.
There's too many people in the world.
Yeah, I agree.
We don't get to live that way. It's not a
Truly.
reality.
We spent this episode exploring curses, But chances are none of us believe that we're going to be turned into a swan or fall asleep for 100 years, right?
Yeah.
Why do these stories still matter? Because the magic wasn't the point of the story. The interruption was. Every curse we've talked about begins with a single moment that changes everything. The magic simply makes the consequences visible, and our lives have moments like that too.
And that's not because of witches or angry fairies, but because every life has a before
Yeah.
and an after. Before the decision that changed everything. We don't always get to choose those moments, but we do have to decide what happens next. The next best thing.
Yeah.
That's what fairy tales understood.
Yeah, throughout this episode, we've asked whether curses can ever really be broken. And again, it's a yes and no, right? I mean, you have some situations where it works out and others where it doesn't.
Which is very human.
Right, exactly. And I think that's part of, we get this hope, right? But it's like, it also shows us that sometimes that hope isn't enough and that it's not going to change anything necessarily, right?
The Lear children couldn't change their fate.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
it ended, so they were out of their misery, but
there was nothing
left.
They could just pass in their own form.
Right.
I mean,
that's it, which is so sad. Because breaking a curse isn't the same as erasing the past. Healing doesn't give you back the years that you've lost. Forgiveness doesn't pretend that the wound never existed. Growth doesn't mean that you become the person that you were before everything changed. It means that you were becoming someone new.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why these stories have survived for centuries. Not because they've convinced us that magic is real, but because they reminded us that even when life is interrupted, the story's not done. The curse may shape the next chapter, but it doesn't rewrite the ending. Yeah, I think that's the biggest takeaway for sure.
Yeah.
You just...
It's the knot in your invisible string.
Right.
Or it's the blip in your timeline, or like however you want to phrase a curse.
Yeah.
Per se, it's a very human experience. I think
it's a difficult thing that pops up in your life and how you move on from it, right? How you deal with it.
Shapes you.
Right.
I mean, I think it's like part of the human experience.
Yeah.
I think these stories are their way to try to grasp at why these things were happening.
Yeah. Yeah, like actually the invisible string. It's a good one with or the web, right?
A web, or a tapestry even.
You're moving in different directions, so you have to tie off that knot and decide which way you want to go from there.
Right.
It's not always as simple as a straight line forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not always a clear path, and you don't always know the end outcome.
Yeah.
Right? But you make a choice and you move forward and hope for the best.
Yes, exactly. I think it was hard for us to narrow down how to talk about this, but I think it came together nicely.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was hard in terms of curses, actually a lot more specific.
Yes.
Than I think we both had realized at first.
Yeah. Which helped actually, because it narrowed it down a little bit for us.
And then once we separated different forms or versions of a curse.
Like we were saying,
able to get here. Yeah.
Like Beauty and the Beast has a curse in it, but it's not all about the curse. So we're trying to stay away from that one. So anything that has like an enchantment, there's like a lot of other stories that could fit into a curse, but it's technically an enchantment. So it's a little bit... And then, we're toying between lines because we had a lot of examples going. We're like, we have to narrow this down. I don't know how we do that.
And then curse objects are just a whole other
and that's
thing.
Such a good, good one.
Because the placement of magic is an interesting one.
Yes. And we figured we'll put them on people first, and then we can go to objects later.
Yeah.
It just seemed...
Because we know,
two different things.
Lord of the Rings has a cursed ring.
Totally. Pandora's box. The Hope
Persephone.
Diamond.
Yeah, I mean, there are
there's modern examples of this.
Many
so
things,
it's good. Yeah.
Items that are believed to be cursed.
Yeah. So we could go back to curses if you guys want. But we'll save it for its own thing.
Yeah, but it's definitely its own thing.
Yeah.
I know we mentioned Horcruxes, but like
Yes.
magical objects are definitely a different thing.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
I think they serve a different purpose. So we
Yes.
separated them.
Yes. Yeah,
So
that's
that's
it.
really it for today.
Yes.
But hopefully we'll dive back into this with objects.
Yeah, and if there are any curses that we missed or
Or
fun
any-
stories like
If there are ones from like your culture, I guess I would be really interested. If you have like a specific cultural curse.
yeah, curse that represents consequence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you next time, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, please follow Goddess Behavior and leave a review. It helps other legendary mortals find us.
Questions are always welcome. No oracle required.
Stay bold.
Stay curious.
That's Goddess Behavior.